Look at this guy, a young age, mashallah. Look how beautiful he is reciting Quran, and kept praising him. This guy couldn't hold it. He turned to them and told them, not only that, I am fasting too today. This is the a'mal. This amal is not worth anything. Why? Because it's not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, the more good it is, because the more devoted it is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let's go back to the subject, and inshallah I will finish in a few minutes. We said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi said the best deed in this month is to abstain from sin. Now let's consider that a person who does all those jobs, recite Quran, does the prayers, feed the poor, and also abstain from the sins. All of them he does for 100% to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one of those is preferred? Rasulullah can point to the last one. Why? Because again of those categories. They tell you when you have two equal deeds, the one that is harsher is considered to be the best. For example, you have to go for somewhere to visit a sick person, a sick mu'min. Now this person, you can pick up the phone and call him and ask about his situation and find out if he's doing good or bad. Or take the car and go and visit him. Which one is preferred? Of course the latter one. Why? Because this is the most difficult one. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi says, أفضل الأعمال أحمزها. Meaning the better one deed, the better deed, the one that is more difficult. It is narrated that whenever a choice was given to Ali ibn Abi Talib between two actions, he always would choose the harsher one, the more difficult one. Therefore, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi says that this action, abstinence from mistake and sin, is considered to be the best. Why? Because it is harshest. It is very difficult to do. You see, brothers and sisters, we are oblivious about our actions. We don't pay attention from early morning until we go to bed how many times we sin. How many times we make ma'asiyah. We don't pay attention to that. How many times we make khibah, backbiting. How many times we do gossiping. How many times we insult people. How many times we lie and won't tell the truth. How many times we look in haram. How many bad things like this we do. When they tell us do the Quran, it's easy. You open the book, recite it for 10-15 minutes, and that's easy. Do the prayers, 17 rak'ah, we can do them in 20 minutes. But when it comes for abstinence of mistake and sins, you see it's very difficult. Very difficult to contain yourself. Therefore, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi says, since this is a harshest thing, therefore it is considered to be the best. The other way to decide which amal is better, which deed is better than the other one, is how close it is to the objective of that deed. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made so many rulings for us, like the prayers, fasting, hajj, or things that has prevented us from doing. For example, zina, shurb al-khamr, and other things. Okay? Those all have wisdoms. Those all have reasons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not come arbitrarily and tell us don't do this and do that one. When He asks us to do something because it has a benefit for us, it has a wisdom for us. When He tells us do not do that act, prevent us from doing that act because it has harm to us. Sometimes we pay attention and find the reason. Sometimes we don't pay attention. We don't know. Why, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us when you go to Hajj and you do the tawaf, you have to circle 7 times around Kaaba. Why 7 times? Not 5 times? Not 10 times? I have no idea. But definitely it has a reason. It has a wisdom for this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wise and merciful. When He tells me to do something out of His wisdom and out of His mercy for me, out of His love and affection toward me, He wants my benefit. He doesn't ask me to do something against my own benefit. Therefore, when He asks us to do something for a wisdom, sometimes we find it, sometimes we don't find it. One of the wisdoms and benefits of fasting, if you remember yesterday, that I talked about, is self-control. Remember when I discussed it? Do you remember that? You remember? Or you don't? I will quiz you, huh? At the end of the lecture. Remember last night we said that self-control, one of the wisdoms of fasting is that people develop resistance against temptations. The self-control is served when you do fasting. One of the objectives is self-control. Now, recitation of Quran can bring you to self-control. Prayers can bring you to self-control. But abstinence from sin can get you to self-control much faster than other a'mal. You see? It is a destination you have. Your objective is self-restraint, self-control, abstinence, right? Which one of those a'mal will get you to this destination? Is when you abstain from sin. That will get you to self-control faster than any a'mal. That's why it becomes more important. Imagine you want to go to Toronto. Which one gets you faster? Taking a bus or taking an airplane? Of course, if you take an airplane, the airplane is considered the same as abstinence from sin. When you abstain from sin, you get to your destination, and that is self-control faster than you do the prayers. That's why it gets more preferred. And sometimes the action itself becomes the axis of whole actions, whole system. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make one amal is the axis of all a'mal. The other a'mal revolve around that amal. If that amal collapse, if that deed collapse, the entire a'mal also collapse with it. Imagine a pole in a tent. If you remove that pole, what happens? The tent collapse. Therefore, that amal, that deed becomes more important than any other a'mal. We have a saying from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi that was narrated from Ali ibn Abi Talib. Says, "As-salatu amud ad-din. In qubilat, qubila ma siwaha. Wa in ruddat, rudda ma siwaha." Meaning that the prayers is considered to be the pillar of faith. Now, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the prayer, the rest of the deeds are accepted. But if Allah rejects the prayers, everything will be rejected. Meaning that the prayer is the axis of the entire a'mal. All a'mal revolve around that prayer. The same thing in the holy month of Ramadan, when we do the fasting, abstaining from sin is considered to be the pillar. Other a'mal revolve around that pillar. Now, if we don't abstain from sin, it's become worthless.